Today, we are taking a little bit of a break from working on the dump truck. We are getting a fence put in on the property, which is great. All this from the edge of my building over to where the giant pile of millings is. Well, pile of millings, I guess not that giant. Down next to that tree, back corner of the yard, and all the way across the back is all going to be privacy fence. So all that back there will be fenced in. It's getting put in about a week. I need to get my skid steer back running, which it should run no problem because it ran when it pulled up here. It just, when it sits, it loses its prime. So there's a few things I need to get done on it. It's got a hole in the radiator hose. That's why I stopped using it. Do a little maintenance on it so I can work it and move my pile of millings here and all the rest of the cars and the wood and everything back there for this fence. We're excited as hell about getting a fence. Been wanting one for a long time. Now all my projects and all my junk can pile up behind it and nobody can see it. That is our project for today. And I got my buddy here, Andrew. He's not out here right now, but he's here helping me, and we're gonna see what kind of work we can do to make this thing actually usable for more than about 10-15 minutes at a time before it would overheat like it did before. I want to talk about our video sponsor for a minute. This video is sponsored by Temu. You can download their app down in the description below. If you do that, use code DKR6877 and you can get a couple of these products, like this thread checker. Have you ever got one of these? I decided to try to get the cable one. It just got different threads on it. You've got metric on the black and the silver is standard. And you just hang it up anywhere you need it. Grab a random bolt, find which one it is, thread it in. It says right on it the size, that this one is 5/16 by 18. And you can do the nut on the other side. So I have a nut right here, thread it down on. Tells you the size. They're actually really handy. You can grab this if you download the app from the description. You can get this for $1.29. The other thing you can get, using my promo code, you can get this for 68 cents. And this is actually a heat gun for like crafts and projects. I wanted to use it for heat shrink whenever you crimp a battery cable together. Works great. I'm actually really impressed with that one. Some of the different things they offer whenever you use their app is you get free shipping on purchases and free returns for up to 90 days. You also get, shipment is late, you can get a $5 credit onto your account. There's all kinds of discounts, like they have sales constantly for up to 70% off items all of the time. You just gotta go through and look at it. One of the cooler things that I like is that they have a price protection policy. And since they have things going on sale all the time, if within 30 days of you purchasing that, you can request a partial refund. But let me show you some of the other stuff I bought. I ended up getting a lot of wiring stuff from them because they had quite a few items. A nice weather pack sealed relay block. You got your fuses here and you have 40 amp relays. Now, some of the other wiring things they have here is these bus strips for powers or grounds, either one. I was searching around some more and found this one. So it's got a nice cover on it, but you put a ground up here and a power down here. So you power in, say off your relay pack, 40 amps going in, and you would have a total of 40 amp capable circuit, total, not individual. And you put a fuse in here, which it comes with fuses. And this would be your load that you're controlling. Main ground in, main power in, load going out. You put your fuse in here, and whenever this pops, the light lights up to tell you that it's got a popped fuse. But you got grommets here so you can run wires through and it doesn't chafe on the metal like a thin piece of sheet metal. Grommets for that. Got ourselves a big pair of, it's kind of like Nipex, or I call them Nipex pliers. I don't think that's how you say it, but they're some of the best pliers I've ever had. These are built like them, and I haven't got to use them yet, but they feel sturdy and good, but they're like 12 bucks. One of the cooler things that I got that I was shocked that they had was a complete standalone LS wiring harness. I can tell you this, looking at it, it looks like it is in good shape. It's got all the factory connectors, your ECM plugs. It even comes with an OBD2 connector and a fuse block. Now I got this because I want to put this for my run stand. It's plenty long enough to get inside the car if you're running it from the engine compartment to the car. I had no idea that they had this stuff. If you just search around, it will shock you the amount of stuff that they have. The last thing that I got is this, and I'll show you a video of this. This is an endoscope. Hook your camera up right to your phone. They have a connector for the iPhone, and they have an adapter for the iPhone, and they have one for your USB-C. So whether you've got the new iPhone or an Android, it works for either one. But you can either take photos or you can take video, and it's pretty high quality. and you just stick it down in. See what this cylinder looks like. Look at that. A little rust, but I've never actually looked inside this engine. I bought this big block for my truck. It's out of a boat, but it's got no big scoring. It's still got cross hatches, flat top pistons, which it's kind of cool. Didn't know it had that, but nothing wrong with that. You can look down inside, look at your valves, and you can look down inside another cylinder. Flat top, no damage. But another one of the items you can get from Temu. Looks awesome, works great. I recommend it. Alright guys, that is some of the things that I got off of Temu. Now, like I said, go down to the description, download the app. For new users, you can get the thread checker for $1.29, or you can get the heat gun for 68 cents. It's like 90% off each one. It's one or the other for new users of the app. Use code DKR6877. Now let's get back to the video. Instead of sitting here trying to do hand primer to prime it, you can't really see it in there.
My fat ass is in the way.
I've got an electric fuel pump and a drill battery that we're just gonna put in line and force fuel on it so I don't have to sit here and crank this thing forever. Use the mechanical pump to try to prime it. Once he starts, we'll be able to hook it back up and it'll run no problem. But he's just took the feed line off the fuel tank down there and running it to the, that'd be what, suction side of that pump, and then hooking the other end, the pressure side of that, to the actual fuel line.
This was the suction side, right?
No, suction side was this guy. And if not, we'll just change polarity. I'm sure it'll pump backwards. That's how all pumps work, right?
Yeah. That's exactly how it works.
This thing's a little Perkins diesel. It runs really well once it starts. Smokes a little bit, but once it warms up and you go full throttle with it, it really runs nice. It's got a valve cover leak, pukes oil everywhere, and then the hole in the radiator hose. Really the two big things that I gotta fix. And
That's
then,
all fine.
Yeah, I've been saying that for like 3 years now, and now I can run it for like 10 minutes before it pisses all the water out of it, so I need to actually try to fix it this time. That's also one reason why that pile of millings is still not moved, because I can't run it long enough to move everything. We are also going to put a temperature sender and gauge. We're going to try to figure out what to do. Maybe put it in one of those spots up top there, or just mount it off to the side. The problem is my big ass has to have enough room for my head to pop up and move around, because if you haven't noticed, I'm a large person and this is a small skid steer. So I get in and I can use it, but it's not the tight. It's pretty tight. Get this hooked up and try to prime this and see if we can get it to fire up. While he sits inside there just waiting for me to loosen all these fuel lines up. The fuel line right here is a feed down to the pump, the high pressure fuel pump. So I got to crack that one loose, and I'll make sure I get fuel to the pump. And there's a couple other fuel lines throughout there. But once I get that to that point, I can tighten that one back up, and then you have to loosen up the injector fuel lines. Loosen those, don't take them all the way off, and then you'll crank the engine and you'll see fuel start to pump out of those, and that'll tell you got fuel up to your poppets. These are mechanical poppets, and so it takes a certain amount of fuel pressure to even open them to spray fuel into the engine. So there's no electricity that runs to them. It's all just mechanically done with fuel pressure. Once you get that to get fuel up to there, you tighten them back up, it'll start building fuel pressure and then spraying in the engine. Once all that happens, it should start to fire the engine. I guarantee you right now, if I take those lines loose, there's no fuel up there. So I'm gonna start taking these lines loose down here, and then he'll plug in the fuel pump, the electric one, and hopefully force fuel through everything to this point, so we just don't have to waste all that time cranking on it and killing the batteries of the skid steer. Plug that fuel pump in. See what happens. Well, it's anticlimactic. Doesn't sound like it's moving fuel.
Am I backwards?
Do you have fuel over there?
I told you. Because we're on there tight. No, I don't have any fuel.
Oh, maybe it's out of fuel. Maybe that's why I didn't want to start.
I have fuel in that one, and the line I took off.
Just plug the other end into the... That sounds like suction. Unless that thing just literally doesn't have enough suction to start pulling it up, because I'm sure that pump's supposed to be gravity fed then pushed. Maybe that pump just sucks, but maybe that pump just doesn't suck.
Feels like
it feels like you're getting fuel?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. There's fuel in the tank.
Yep.
So that pump is awful and can't pick up.
Alright.
Let's try another
New
thing.
plan.
18 volt battery?
I mean, we can try that.
I've got another electric fuel pump that should work. Let's go grab it. We went to the good old Holly clicky clack pump. It says for gasoline or diesel engines, so it's perfect. You're just gonna go straight for it, Do you trust it?
I don't trust any of this. What are you talking about?
You're gonna spray yourself with fuel.
Let's see if something happens. Oh,
Change the pitch. Perfect.
Nice!
All right, that'll work.
We just had to change pumps. That's all we needed.
Good old Holly clicky clack.
All right, I gotta take the wires off. We did not make those wires long enough.
Don't say we, I just stood there.
You're part of this too! Contact.
Oh yeah, definitely sounds like it's building pressure. Oh, hey, let me loosen that up a little bit more.
What, are we still tight?
It's snug, it's not tight. All right, go ahead and turn it on. Nice, smooth fuel flow. So we got fuel down to that. Now I put this back on, tighten it up, and then while that clicky clack's going, we'll crank it and see if I can get fuel out of these injectors. And once we do that, it should start once I tighten the fuel lines back up, unless there's something else happening.
Well, it sounds like it pushed everything through and it was returning. I almost feel like we could try starting it, because it already pushed fuel all the way through the system.
Yeah, but I gotta get it up to the injectors. It has to go through the high pressure mechanical pump. We've got the low pressure side primed. Now it has to crank up to the injectors up top. Keep going, I got fuel sprints on a couple of them. See that one dripping? All right, let me tighten up the two that I see spraying.
Okay. Hooking her back
Let's
up.
see if we can get fuel to these other two. That one is getting fuel.
Stop buzzing in my ear.
Sounds like the battery's starting to slow down.
Yeah, a little bit.
All right, let's try it now. All right. That one is spraying. Now hold the glow plugs, count to 30. Is it fuel forward? Yeah.
Try again?
Yeah, just crank her. I think it's spinning too slow.
Grab the Jeep.
I got jumper cables in the back of the Grand Prix. Let it run and charge for a little while. Well, after bleeding it about 4 different times, I'm taking all the fuel lines off. Same thing we did at the very beginning, but just over and over again. It runs. Andrew is gonna put the seat in this thing and pull this thing in while I watch him. See the water run out of the seat? That's the unfortunate thing.
I'm gonna have a wet butt.
You probably are. You never used this one, have you?
Yeah, once when we were doing the.
Oh, you were messing with, okay.
Yeah, when we were messing with
When I
that.
made this. We'll have to grab the locks. Okay. See, once you get it up high enough, you can slide these pins out to lock it to keep you from getting crushed while you're over here messing with it. But, like everything else on it, it kind of half-ass works. You got your lever over there. Did that one pop out all the way?
There it went.
Is it out all the way now?
That one did too.
Okay. So now it'll drift down. We'll leave it up, but it can only go as far as those pins now.
Ooh.
It'll sit right on there.
That's leaking so bad.
Oh, I don't know. Right now? Sweet. That's a new leak.
Time to repack some cylinders.
Yep. Yay. That went well last time I did it on this one. Got it in, the arms lifted up, the hood off, way more access. Put the batteries out of it because they're sitting there leaning over, almost touching this. Well, the positive cable's basically sitting right up against that. But there's so much dirt packed under here. I'm gonna scrape all of this off. I mean, that is thick.
Thick.
Thick. That's disgusting. Get that all scraped off and do that to both sides, and then put the trays back down in there and try to figure out a way to actually secure them, because they're just sitting in there. But I mean, even the tray is half rotted and missing. There's not much left of this tray. I think if I scrape this tray, there won't be a tray left.
We got scraps, dude.
We may actually end up having to make something and get those attached and actually secured so they don't fall, and knock my hydraulic line off like it did once before and dump all the hydraulic oil out of it. Try to make this thing to where I can use it for an extended period of time. It deserves some maintenance. I bought the batteries when I first bought it, and they say
820 and 620?
8 of 20. Oh, one's a 620 and one 2 months older. They're 4-year-old batteries. I've had this thing for 4 years now, and it's done pretty well. It deserves some maintenance. I've just used it and haven't actually ever done anything to it. Let's see if we can make this thing work a little better. Just like everything else, things escalate and you decide to do more than you were planning. Now we're gonna... You doing okay out there?
It's hard to pick up a battery with your fingertips.
But that is everything that came out from underneath the batteries, just under the battery. There's a lot of metal and a lot of mud. I don't think that thing's ever been cleaned out. We have decided to do more work, and we're gonna spray it all down with some oven cleaner, because that's about the best thing you can get that's cheap, and then power wash it all off, all in there, and just clean it. It's the best opportunity we have with the batteries out, because we're gonna have to make new battery boxes so the batteries don't fall. It has escalated to just making it work to doing actual work.
I don't like that. I don't like actual work.
We'll clean this thing off since we have access to everything, and it just makes sense to do it now. Well, that looks drastically better. Well, cleaned up pretty well. All down in there. Now we just gotta blow dry it, get a leaf blower, blow it off, and then see what we gotta do to build some battery boxes. All right, here's the beginnings of our battery box. Using the C channel, sits down in there real nice, and then he's cutting the 2 pieces of small angle iron, and that's gonna sit here, and we'll weld that to the angle straight up, and it'll just go right across. That'll hold the battery down, and then we're just gonna drill straight through the bottom of this, down through the belly of the skid steer, bolt 2 bolts down with a small spacer. It may be pieces of angle iron just because we have it, and with all that, it'll hold it down tight, and this will stop bouncing around and smacking into everything. So I had a metal cutting blade I used when I did my building for cutting all the tin, and we decided to give it a shot on the smaller stuff. The right thing or not, it works pretty well. It actually cuts through it kind of like butter. I figured the saw would bog a little bit. Now watch, it'll freak out.
You ready?
Yep. That just makes me want a metal cutting chop saw that has the cold cut saw instead of an abrasive, because that works really well. Here are our little feet that we just welded on. I put a couple holes in right in the center to bolt them down to the skid steer, and then we'll put our hold downs in, and this is going to be done. Then we can actually start doing some of the things that I planned on doing instead of messing around with this. That's the way it always goes. You end up with a whole lot more work than you intended to do. So, gotta get this done. Run out of daylight. This is the exact reason why you don't throw away any old radiator hoses. So, this thing is the old lower hose part of it, and here's the other part of it. This went to the block, then it had the ancient ass block heater that is disgusting. And then that went like that, right? Of course, the size that has the big end, which the radiator is quite a bit larger than that little bitty heater, and that's the same size as the block. It's very small. So of course the side that got damaged and has a hole in it is the side that goes to the radiator. This is right, and then this goes down small enough to go onto here. But that's gonna change where everything lies. So I think I can take part of this hose and part of this hose, put it together with this, and put it on the block. I will show you here in a little bit if I come up with something, but right now I'm just trying to brainstorm. But this is the only one that attaches to the radiator and goes small enough to hit that. So we'll see what happens. After cutting up multiple hoses, this is what I've come up with. Put that on low radiator, put that up on the block, and that'll work. It's not pretty, and it's disgusting, but it should hold water in it, which at this point in time, all I really care about. Put that right there, that right, oh, where is it at? There you go. Get in there. There. Everything works. I'll push it all the way and put the hose clamp on, and then now we can fill it back with water. Well, he's continuing to hate me and do the battery boxes.
I don't want to do any more maintenance, Grandpa.
I got that in. That's bolted in and clamped in, I guess. And it's gonna work, at least for a little while. He's almost got that other battery tray done. So while he's doing that, I am going to take this off. And the temperature sender I have is just an electronic one. So we're gonna use the wire that goes to the dummy light, which doesn't work anymore because where the dummy light was is the temperature sender for the gauge. So we use that wire, probably extend it up to here, because I don't really know of any other place to put it for me to have the space to get around and get in this thing. We'll extend the wire from here, up the pillar, up into the top here, and find a place to hang that gauge. Maybe hang it right underneath the light. That probably would be the best spot, out of the way, off to the side, and I can still see it. I'm gonna get working on that. Mice decided to make a house inside my skid steer, so this is gonna make it that much more fun. And I can't run it up there. The wires don't run that way.
Really?
They run behind. I'm just now looking at it. There's a pin right there for the upper. So the wires don't run up that pillar, they run right there and go down and that way and up. So there goes that plan. I don't know what to do now.
That's the theme for today. There goes that plan.
Well, crap. Well, I guess I'll continue picking out all of the mouse house and then figure out what to do. I'm gonna put the gauge right here. And of course I'm gonna do it with some self-tappers, because what else would you do it with? We got this knocked out. This is perfect for what we're trying to do here. I can tie this up, keep that out of the way, maybe put some little Odell clamps or something there. But she just runs right down in here, cut the top of that so it'll clear. That is sitting up there. Light comes on, we turn the key on. That is as good as I'm gonna get it. He's got this battery in, actually secured. It wiggles, but it doesn't bounce around. He's finishing up the other one, and we will finally be ready to fill this thing with coolant and move her around. So we got it running the other night after doing the batteries and everything. I didn't really run it that night. So I got up the next morning and went to move some of my stuff for the whole purpose of putting the fence in. Move the pile of millings and everything. And I knew this cylinder was leaking, but it went from leaking to absolutely gushing and spraying hydraulic oil everywhere. As you can see, that's just driving, not using it, pumping out all the way back, and the whole side of the machine is covered in oil. I didn't record any of it running, but it is just puking out of here. So now the mission has gone to pull this cylinder off, and I'll take it into work and we'll see if we can get it resealed. I ordered up a reseal kit and was able to get it pretty quick. So tonight's mission is popping this off and taking it into work. So let's see if we can do that. So I got this one up here, you take this off and it drives out this way towards you. And then down here on the other end of the cylinder, you've got the same thing. As long as these come out pretty easy, it's not gonna be too bad to take off. It's just if those are frozen in there. Let's see how much of a mess I can make taking this apart. Hey! Well, that pin's super loose. Try this one. And of course it's nutted on the other side. Nice. That one is loose as well. This one, will it slide out? Oh yeah. That's gravy. Okay, let's go and get the keys, start this thing, so when I pull that upper pin, I can retract that cylinder down. I stopped to put on some gloves, or bitch mittens, or whatever the kids are calling it nowadays. Gotta keep my hands clean, guys. Not a mechanic anymore. Can't get my fingers dirty. These things dial a phone and type on a keyboard all the time now. Can't be getting that dirty. All right, let's put a bungee cord on the cylinder and retract it. See if it'll start. No, it's no bungee, but it should work just the same. Okay, so that's up there. That's loose. That just pulled right out. Look at that. There's grease on it, fellas. Greasy crap. Makes things work so much better. So far, she's been a pretty easy machine to work on. And yes, my big ass getting inside this thing is like an elephant trying to be in a submarine. I get that. But it was cheap, guys. And it works. Ish. Okay, well that worked, but as you can see, the amount of hydraulic oil shooting out of that thing is a bit ridiculous. Look at that. Somebody snotted on it. As I'm sure you saw, the oil comes squirting out of that. And look at that. She's greased, so that's good. Rags here and get all this grease off. Ugh. But the rod is actually in really good shape. So it's not nicked or beat up. I'm gonna guess that it's just leaking because of age. Seals eventually get dried out and they don't work as well as they used to. They don't seal. And you know, you're holding, I'm not sure what this skid steer produces pressure wise, but I would have to assume it's at least 3,000 psi, 2,500 minimum. I would say that's probably pretty standard. I doubt it's probably much higher than that. That ain't it. That ain't it. You're telling me I didn't grab the right size. Oh no, I did. See, I knew that the whole time. Don't you worry, buddy. 100% knew that. I should have bought 2 seal kits so I could do the other cylinder at the same time, but I'm not very smart and I don't think ahead. Look at that. Up here at my work, where we build trucks and bodies and beds and all kinds of stuff. We didn't film taking it apart because we just got ahead of ourselves, but it actually came apart really easy. All we had to do is put it in the vise, put a bar through this, keep it from twisting, and the nut popped right off.
Using some brand new icons.
Yeah, grabbed real well.
This is the problem.
There is no tension on the seals at all. Everything's in great shape, but that should have way more resistance. There's one seal right here, one rubber seal here, nylon ring here, and then inside here there's 2 seals. And that's it. These are really simple cylinders. Way less complicated than the cylinders in this. This is what they've been working on putting together while I sit in my office and yell at them. We do cranes, all kinds of crap here. Pretty much anything someone will pay us to work on. But that's my background with crap. This is where I work. There you go.
Alright. Really? Does it thread on?
Get you.
Oh, it threads on.
Pop this off. Yeah, that should not slide off that easy. Make sure you clean your shaft, boys. Get you to focus. Big old tear in it right there. It's just old. I doubt this thing has been resealed since it was new, and that is rock hard. So the new ones we have are soft.
Oh my god!
Yeah, they're dry.
Oh, dude, that's bad. I've never had one do that.
Yeah, definitely 100%.
Oh, this is a 2-piece.
Clean all the crap out of it and then just pop your new seals in. This is, yeah, we're definitely gonna have to take the other cylinder off now because it is weeping. It is starting to leak. I should have just done it all right now.
You mean like we tell customers?
Yeah. That's pretty good. We just ran it up. No leaks at all. That's so much better. She did well. Got it up in there. We didn't lose any fingers. It's always a good start.
I don't know if it's recording. Dahmer. Dahmer.
Okay, so the one cylinder we resealed, it's great. The other one is now puking. Well, you did assist in putting it back on.
I did all the work. You'll see.
But it did exactly what we wanted it to do. Let's see, the batteries, coolant, didn't overheat. That's probably the longest it's ran, and it's only holding like 205 degrees, so that's good. I don't know, if I knew how to run it and I could fit in the machine a little better, it'd probably look a little nicer, but it did exactly what we needed and didn't have to move any of that by hand. Isn't that awesome? Look at all that space. So this is why we had to get it running and was such kind of a big deal, is I had to move that pile of millings and get this ready for them to install this fence. And since then, I have spread all of those millings. Everything we did worked. The cylinder that we resealed worked fantastic. The other cylinder, on the other hand, has decided to let go. It is now leaking and needs resealed, just like that one did. So it wasn't a big deal, so I'll probably buy a seal kit and go ahead and toss that one together. The other thing that started happening is the fuel pump on the high pressure fuel pump. Can't see it down in there, but it is. Can you see in there? What about now? There you go. It's drenched in diesel fuel, as you can see, because the fuel pump, the little low pressure fuel pump, started leaking on the backside. So I'm gonna have to try to take that off in the machine and reseal that so it stops puking fuel. But once those are two done, I ran it for well over an hour, never overheated, cooled real well. So overall, I'm pretty pleased. Other than that, guys, that's why we did all this, so we can get that, get more projects inside here, and you can go and see all this fence behind me all the way down. Dahmer is incredibly happy, and I'm happy that he can go and run around in here. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.